Hello, and welcome to yet another episode of the Back to the TARDIS podcast, the podcast where we take a look at every single episode of the 2005 revival of BBC's Doctor Who. I'm Jeff.
I'm Aurora.
And I'm Rose.
And this week, we are discussing Series 10, Episode 9, Empress of Mars by Mark Gatiss. Now,
Is it really?
this is a momentous and bittersweet occasion. Well, I say bittersweet, mostly sweet. This is Mark Gatiss's final episode for Doctor Who. He has not written another one since this one.
Well, I'd say he went out on a fairly strong note.
Yeah, it was all right. I mean, at the very least, it wasn't Sleep No More 2 like he'd initially planned.
Oh my god, did he really?
Isn't it?
Yeah, no, what happened is he was going to do Sleep No More 2 for Series 10, and then he realized, oh, that's Moffat's last season, which means it's also probably my last season, so I'm going to do this because I want to do this more than I want to do Sleep No More 2.
Well, it's worse than that, right? Because he wasn't even planning on directly following up the bullshit ending of Sleep No More. It was going to be like a prequel, I think.
Oh my god.
So we wouldn't even get
What is wrong with him?
This is a much better product, is what I'm saying. I'm glad he went this route.
Even if, okay, so my problem with this episode is kind of a silly problem to have, I will admit. But my problem with this episode is that they do too good a job making the British soldiers look like complete dumbass, obnoxious idiots with very little people to root for. So what instead happens is I'm sitting there through most of the episode going, nah, this is boring. I just want to see these dudes get murdered graphically. Come on, get to the good part.
I don't think I had that experience myself. I think maybe it's just because there was one guy I liked enough. And I don't know. I feel like the British soldiers didn't particularly dominate the episode, so it felt like a breezy enough watch for me. I don't feel it got too bogged
fair.
down.
And at least it's only a 45-minute, not something longer. So that's
it's a 43-minute actually.
43, yeah, fair enough. I will also note, I was very surprised to see that they were not in fact using the Sanctuary Base 6 spacesuits. I'm like, wait, I'm trying to figure out where they got those from.
Yeah.
If they're just new ones for this episode.
Speaking of spacesuits, I would like to shout out the Victorian spacesuit at the end. That was a good bit of costuming.
Yeah, a very good bit of costuming, if admittedly I was looking at that going like, do they have oxygen tanks for the like how are they going to keep him alive?
Don't worry about it. Don't worry
about it.
It has a phonograph on it. That's all that matters.
It's the rule. It's the rule of cool. It's fine. We're fine here.
That's true. We are all vibing. This is yet another episode where Nardole is just kind of there. It's always funny whenever they do a thing where it's like, oh yeah, we need to come up with a reason for the TARDIS to not be here because otherwise it breaks the plot of the episode.
Yeah, there was a bit of contrivance there of oopsies, the TARDIS did a whoopsie. I would say that's probably the main contrivance of the episode.
Yeah. It's the closest thing to a plot hole since we see in Dr. Mysterio, I think that like Nardole can like pilot it just fine.
Yeah.
So it would have to be something like the TARDIS, if we take the Doctor's wife like more into account with canon, just sometimes does things for the plot and also because like she goes where she needs him to go.
Yeah.
So romantic.
Yeah. And it's just kind of that's how it works, and it's also it's very it feels very classic. It's like they can't do what they did in classic, which was in classic, like there was a period where they broke the sonic screwdriver during the Fifth Doctor's tenure and then didn't repair it for a while because it's like, no, this is too easy. We need people to stop using it as a get out of jail free card. But they can't do that with the TARDIS because it is endemic to the whole setup of the show. So they just have to be like, yeah, no, it's just fucked off. We can't use it.
I do think they have a fun little, God damn it, why haven't I added a wood function to this thing yet moment in here?
Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah. One thing I will say, with the whole plot setup of well, also first off, like, damn, like, you know, it's really funny how, like, the Sea Devils showed up because like Chris Chibnall wanted to do something with the Sea Devils, which is not unlike Mark Gatiss doing stuff with the Ice Warriors. Now, admittedly, I didn't watch Sea Devils, but the Ice Warriors just feel like an all-around better candidate for something like that.
I don't know what the Sea Devils is.
Throwaway alien that was used
Yeah.
in one of the 13 specials leading up to the finale of 13's tenure.
Yeah, that was like a returning classic villain, the same way that the Ice Warriors were a returning classic villain. You're the only one here who's actually watched Legend of the Sea Devils, right?
No, none of us have.
Oh, you didn't watch it either?
No.
That means
care.
So that means on our server, only one person has watched that, and they're not even a host. I think Emma's the only person who's actually seen Sea Devils.
Look, I just heard I used to be a bigger Thasmin simp back when I thought that I had any faith that anything would follow through with that. And I just heard from reviews that it's like basically it's addressed, but it's like, lol, nah, we shouldn't do it, and then it goes on, and I'm just like, well, that's stupid. So I'm not putting time into it. Like, I like Dan. Dan's a bro, but I'm not putting in that time. I'm sorry, my guy. So
yeah,
I haven't seen it. Sleep No More, an episode I've rewatched more than Legend of the Sea Devils.
Well, yeah, because you've at least watched Sleep No More. Anyways, what was okay? So, with digressions aside, with the whole theme of the Ice Warriors, but there's an Ice Warrior like matriarch, and I guess that implies that the society is matriarchal, which wasn't. I mean, there wasn't that much Ice Warriors lore. They could probably get away with that, no problem. I don't have a problem with that. But the setup then, I will give them credit for essentially tying that to the same way that at the time period that the episode is set, the British monarch, it was also a queen, a matriarch. And that's a nice bit of effective theming. However, whenever the Empress interacts with Bill, you're like, oh, a cis guy wrote this.
It really, really is.
Yeah.
It's so #feminism.
It's a little bit.
Is the Ice Warrior Empress a TERF? The greatest forum debate locked after 5,000 pages of heated discussion. Yeah. And I don't know. Maybe it's because of just the mindset that I was in when I came to this episode. But I do kind of feel like it is slightly to the episode's detriment that it feels like a majority of the episode is just everybody except for the Doctor and Bill, and I guess maybe the deserter who's like the commanding officer of the unit, just being incredibly unlikable. And for me, it felt like there wasn't quite enough character to make something like this work, because like there are some really nasty RTD era episodes, but there's still like people that you can root for or relate to in a sense that I didn't really get from this.
Yeah,
That being said, I also watched this at like 10 p.m., so maybe I was just tired.
Yeah, I would say that one of the biggest weaknesses for this episode is just like they're British colonial soldiers, and it's just kind of
Yeah.
like, yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel like you deserve this.
But
Yeah. Well,
at least one of them is black.
which is probably actually somewhat historically accurate, and
I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah. And I'm not going to fault Mark Gatiss for just not trying to do anything with it, because I think it would have been really cringy if he failed.
Yeah.
But I think it is somewhat a mistake of the episode that it doesn't really explore the racial aspect at all to that.
Yeah. I think I don't think this episode needed it. I don't think that would have integrated with any of the themes whatsoever, and probably would have felt like a forced add-on. I don't know.
That's true. I think
I think just having him there is fine. It's like, yeah, the British Army was kind of diverse, and also they still kind of suck because this guy is like trying to get his gold. They're British soldiers. What are you gonna do? And then
Thin Ice was the perfect place to like really stick the landing of like, yeah, race is important, and I just for that, like, I think it was important that be nailed there in the first historical. But aside from that, the whole like I've actually been impressed with this series for having somewhat like consistent themes across episodes dealing with like power structures and inequality and the aristocracy or whatever like ruling class happens to be prevalent at the time of Thin Ice, or like corporate algorithms with like oxygen, or like pseudo-fascistic things like the monks that kind of fell flat on their face. And then this is like another like good invocation of that. There's so many like intersections of how like systems like that work. It's just I understand at a certain point it's like, okay, we should have like some historical diversity. Do we have the time to like really delve into that? It's like, well, no, but like let's do it anyway. Like, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. And yeah, well, it's basically, so yeah, it would be it would be, now I'm thinking about it, yeah, it would be difficult to bring a race angle into here because it's not what the episode is themed about, but it feels like that character had the potential to be like another person to potentially be a bit more of a like a sympathetic and like an actual present character that you could care about, because ultimately the episode is about how much the British Empire sucks. And like, yes, it does some comparison between the Ice Warrior Empire and the British Empire. But to be really brutally honest, the difference is that the Ice Warrior Empire actually believes in honor. just gonna leave that one there.
Yeah. I will. I think one of my favorite lines from this was just really heavy-handed stuff that was just like, you don't belong here.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm British. we belong anywhere. Mars belongs to the queen now. It was just this really
no, it's literally the I know writers who use subtext and they're all cowards.
But that's when Doctor Who is at its best, as we all know.
Yeah.
When this is going back a bit ways, but like the cold open, I forgot happened. Just because it's so like out of
it
like,
is the
it's
coldest
so
cold open.
Yeah.
Honestly, I appreciate it. I think it's funny.
No, it's good because we get like we don't get Bill Nardole and the Doctor very much, so it's like it's a good time for like their dynamic to be a thing. And all I could think of when the like camera was revealing like what the ice caps were saying, it was just like, wow, I didn't know that Mars got Netflix subscriptions to watch The Crown. That's some dedication right there. But yeah, it was just you forget sometimes the like ass pulls they do to like get characters in a situation. I kind of just remembered in like our collective like vague memory that they just kind of like showed up here randomly looking for adventure, because like a lot of episodes start that way, but no, it's like actually following up on a thing. So
yeah, one thing I will say, on the subject of like likability of characters and such, I will say I will extend very big kudos towards the guy playing the main British antagonist, because he does a really good job of just being an obnoxious piece of shit. But the problem is that he does it so well where it's just like, I don't want to watch him being an obnoxious piece of shit, because he's such an obnoxious piece of shit that it is incredibly off-putting.
Yeah, it becomes a get off my screen character.
Yeah.
And yeah, doesn't
It
quite
like
toe
it,
that
it
line
gets
correctly.
to it gets to the point where like his death was good, and admittedly this is a family television show that can only get away with so much, but I'm like, his death should have been way more brutal.
Yeah, I am rather entertained by the boxifying beam.
Yeah.
I'm pretty entertained by the boxifying beam to just turn people into a fold-up
Turn people into Gmod ragdolls.
That was so stupid. I loved it.
And it's another case of like the CGI being like just uncanny valley enough that it's like, oh, because like it doesn't look quite right, but also it looks more off-putting than if it looked 100% realistic.
I was reminded of like Dewan Masters like miniaturizing Ray, and how that just kind of looks goofy, that he has like mini people, like he stuffs like a version of like that like Agent O guy or whatever, like in like a matchbox or whatever, and I'm just like,
that's a classic Master staple.
Okay,
like a lot
enough.
Of things that Chibnall does.
No, yeah, it's like a more creepy version of that. So I was like, cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the one thing I will say is with fucking Catchglove's fucking death is that because of the fact that like he presumably gets shot in like the chest or in the gut or something, because they don't want to show it on screen, it does kind of run into the thing of like he falls over and like there's like a solid sheet of metal on his chest. Now, I'm not that well versed in firearms, so it's entirely possible that a point blank, I'm gonna presume like 44 caliber service revolver could punch through that. But it's close enough where I'm like, I don't know if that could punch through metal.
Yeah, just goofy things.
Yeah. Basically, I'm really sad that Torchwood was both dead and also this was not a Torchwood episode, because if it was a Torchwood episode, his like head would have exploded or something. It would have been awesome.
Speaking of Torchwood, this is like Queen Victoria era. We see like a brief like shot of a painting of her, because of course the British bring their waifu with them, just like in a painting, and I'm like, how is there not like a sleeper agent or like someone from Torchwood
It's
here? And
possible.
the answer is because they didn't want to do that, and like, fair enough.
Well,
Or this could be pre-Torchwood.
yeah, I
It's
was
hard to
gonna
say.
say we have to take a look at like what the time is. 1881. Okay,
So that would
Tooth
be
and
after
Claw.
Torchwood, wouldn't it?
Hold on, and Claw TV story. Oh, they fucked up.
How?
Yeah, Tooth and Claw is 2 years before this. Oof. Literally unwatchable SMH.
I could bet
Fucking
like
plot
Get it
holes. Why
together,
didn't they tie
writers.
it in?
Get it together, writers.
Soy face, clear plot hole here. They didn't do another spin-off tie-in. God. Don't they even
For a
care about the
spin-off that was
timeline?
long dead.
the
Speaking of
yeah, I could
spin-offs that weren't dead yet though, it would be really funny if someone from like Class actually showed up at some point in this series.
God. Please, God, no. That should have been. Imagine if we really took off and Class was a Patreon goal. uh, that would have been a time. But yeah, you can easily headcanon it as like this leader of the company wanted like glory for the queen and to like bring her back a bunch of like impressive Mars jewelry and be like, hey, can I be a little special boy now? And then she'd be like, yes, you are my little PogChamp. And then he'd like ooh woo or something. Like, that's probably what he was thinking.
Mm-hmm. Um. Yeah, definitely. Um. So yeah. I will say like the overall like as much as I felt like a lot of the episode was just like come on get to the good bit come on. I do think that the like conclusion in like the last like 10 or so minutes are really solid pretty much across the board. I thought all of that worked really well.
Yeah. They do the Missy thing right. Because it could have been very easy to like have Nardole like trying to like convince Missy or like wrestling with that choice for like sort of like a concurrent B plot throughout the entire episode, but instead it's just like they establish that he can't get back. We have him ask Missy what to do. We have that, well, it would be easier to show you, and then it's just like kind of left until we see the like conclusion of that. We see the natural like follow through. So like that's even though the TARDIS thing is contrived as hell, like at least it's like properly baked into the story.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
definitely.
the other reason I'm willing to forgive the TARDIS contrivance, because it does really set that up.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
which is good and really vital, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Um yeah. Um and then yeah, I think the man, it feels like it's a Moffat. I feel like there's been like multiple different Moffat episodes that are like historicals that end with like one of the characters like hanging out with like joining up with the aliens.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that until now.
I
Huh.
mean, it's a classic like backstabber, like only out for themselves or power thing.
Well,
But
no.
yeah,
I wasn't. No, I'm not talking about the backstabbing. I'm not talking about the backstabbing part of it. I'm talking about like the resolution being ending up with one of the characters, in this case, the deserter, going on to serve the Mars Empire.
yeah.
I didn't think about that until now. It's like we have that. We have oh god, the pirate one. Were there any others? That's the one that like immediately jumps to mind is like, oh, the pirate one. I guess technically, the guy that is Shieldier made immortal. You ever? I'm still thinking about how that guy never shows up again. That's so fucked up. Why'd they do that? He was cool. Well, anyways, also shout outs to like the really weird tension between the Doctor and Missy at the end of this episode. Did you guys catch that? I was like
Yeah, it's just like, Doctor, are you okay? It was just like,
it's like are you guys just gonna like start fucking the second the camera cuts? Like what's going on here?
cut that
I
tension
hope
with
they
a
did.
steak knife. We know you hope you did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything about the ending is pretty cool. The one thing I'll say is just like, of all the times to have like a glup shitto moment, like
Yeah, that's true. That's such I mean, really, I feel like when you get someone like Mark Gatiss, who is a member of like that guard that was like we like grew up watching the show and have been super fans their entire life, glup shitto moments are inevitable. They will happen.
I don't mind this glup shitto moment because it's like it's a brief on-screen thing, and it's literally just like you wouldn't know or care if you didn't already know, or you can just be like,
Yeah.
that's probably a classic thing, and then just not give a
Yeah.
shit.
I love how like you can tell from the energy of like, oh, that's a classic thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it just has that sort of design.
We've had a few of those this series. Yeah, go ahead.
I do think there's an interesting implication here that the Martians. I mean, I guess this is kind of already established, but that the Martians aren't really a a super spacefaring species prior to this, but now this is their moment where they come into the galaxy or whatever.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I do also think this episode has another interesting bit of ice person lore or ice warrior lore, in that 5,000 years ago their civilization was still going, because I feel like that kind of moves up the timeline a little. I feel like we previously assumed it was a bit further back.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
I'm fine with that. Doctor Who.
No, I'm fine with it too. I just think it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I mean that's honestly that's about what I had to say about this one.
Yeah.
Anything else from you guys?
Oh, I like the it's like a little recurring gag, and I like to point out when they do this well. It's just like Bill pointing out a bunch of like pop culture references, and then the one that like the Doctor makes himself is like Frozen, and I'm just like, I like that more than like when David Tennant was like popping off like hip like things left, right, and center with like Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling, I cried at the last book. Like, okay, sir. Like, I don't know. It was funny and sweet, and it didn't really add anything like material to like the episode or the themes or whatever. But it's just, I appreciate those little like bits of flavor that like good writers can like add to like scenes and a sequence.
Are we calling Mark
like
Gatiss a good writer now?
Hey,
he has a messy track record.
Yeah.
He is an inconsistent writer.
I would agree. I think
he is capable, perhaps not realized to his
he is capable of great good and terrible evil.
Wait, we can do like a Matt Gatiss sum up now, since this is his final episode.
Okay. So I'm going to use, I don't know if this terminology comes from anywhere, but I saw someone that I follow on Twitter use it, of goated versus woaded. Goated would be Crimson Horror, Robot of Sherwood, and let's say Cold War. All Right would be Night Terrors, this, and let's say The Unquiet Dead. Woaded would be Idiot's Lantern, Victory of the Daleks, and Sleep No More.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that I'm okay with that. Yeah.
All right, cool.
Okay, wait. So, Empress of Mars, Sleep No More. I'm just looking back over these.
Yeah.
What the fuck is Night Terrors again? Oh, right.
Night Terrors is the one with
dolls.
the kid.
Okay. I
And
feel
the
like
one
he's
that gets
batting.
shot by
Okay,
Cassian.
see, I feel like he's batting over 500 here.
Yeah, that's true. See, so what happened was I forgot about Robot of Sherwood and Night Terrors. And I think that's enough to pop it a little bit up over, because I was just thinking Unquiet Dead, worst episode in series 1. It's fine, but it's the worst episode in series 1. Idiot's Lantern, pretty campy and fun until the ending is dog shit. Victory of the Daleks, atrocious.
What about oh, he's just in Lazarus Experiment. He didn't write it.
Yeah, no. He's Lazarus. He didn't write Lazarus
Yeah.
Experience.
Mm-hmm.
Cold War and Crimson Horror, which were good. Sleep No More, which was dog shit, and this was fine. So
Yeah,
I completely.
Like, okay, so his last 5 episodes, Sleep No More is the only dud in there. He had like a pretty solid run at the end because he got Cold War, Crimson Horror, Robot of Sherwood, and Empress of Mars, and Sleep No More is just kind of in the middle there. So I feel like overall he did sort of like have a good run because he
net W.
Yeah, because from Night Terrors to the end, besides Sleep No More, it's all good, and then there's just the 2 before that fucking suck.
Yeah.
So he's got 3 bad ones and like 5 good ones. So I would call that a
fair enough
good director.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have single-handedly rehabilitated Mark Gatiss's legacy.
We've done it. Uncancelled.
We did it.
Because like at the start of this, you were like, "Oh, Mark Gatiss, and now look at us. We're all on the Mark Gatiss train."
To be fair, Sleep No More is quite a notable L.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like Sleep No More and the Idiot's Lantern ending are indefensible enough to be a serious blight.
Okay, but what good director doesn't have like a couple really, really bad ones?
Yeah, everyone has a bad day at the office, and honestly,
Sleep No More, the Attack of the Clones of Mark Gatiss.
God. I'd even put like Victory of the Daleks at like decent, because like there's a lot of potential there. We just know it doesn't go anywhere with like what the Daleks end up being. It's just
also
like,
the
like,
Churchill hagiography is real disgusting.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know how much we can. It's bad, but like also I wouldn't expect most writers aside from RTD to really be like that critical of him. Like,
it's weird too, because Mark Gatiss is super critical of the British Empire in this episode, and then we get to Winston Churchill, and it's like, funny fat guy.
Well, that's just his character growth in the last and there's like 10 years between those episodes for him to have changed.
No, there's not. There's like 5 years.
No.
Okay, 7.
Seven.
Let's say 6, because the script would have probably have been done before 2017. So let's say 6 years.
Well, the script for Victory of the Daleks would have been done before 2010.
Okay, fine, 7 years. All right.
Between our 2 guesses.
What was he cooking?
That's gonna be the title for this episode.
Yeah.
Look, better track record than Chibnall. Okay, not that
that's true. That's fucked up. I didn't think about that. That's fucked up.
Look, if Mark Gatiss was a baseball hitter, he would be one of the greatest hitters of all time with this average. Just saying.
Also, to be fair, if Mark Gatiss was an actual showrunner, then his track record probably would be closer to Chris Chibnall's.
Maybe.
Because, well, no. Okay.
He
So
writes
for starters,
themes, so...
no, for starters, every single Doctor Who episode since 2020 has either been solely written or since mid 2020, since like basically once you get to the end, like the back half of series 12, every episode of Doctor Who since 2020 has either been written by Chibnall or had a co-writing credit by Chibnall. He wrote like over half of his he has a writing credit on like more than half of the episodes during his tenure. Anyways, statistical nattering aside,
feels bad, man.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for tuning in for the Gatiss-ance. We've really come a long way from people cracking up the second I mention his name at the beginning of this series' history.
I have been resisting a Gatiss joke this entire episode.
Get it out, man. Get it out. This is your last chance.
I can't believe his name is fucking Gatiss.
And he is, in fact, a homosexual.
Classic.
All right. Yeah, it's solid. It's a solid episode. It has some issues, especially with having any or like enough likable characters. It maybe could have used another draft. It's still pretty cool, and Series 10 is still quite kino indeed. Yeah. I'd say this is like a pretty solid let's give it a B. It's a B.
Yeah. Very solid episode. Continues, I don't know, picking up the themes correctly where the Monk trilogy kind of faltered. The Imperial commentary is good. It's a good set piece and intriguing setup. The characters may be a little bit more one note than I would like for an episode like this. Banter again between 12 and Bill. It just keeps being good. It's just gold. The Missy advancement, just gold. But in between is like a very like serviceable, very like blunt commentary on imperialism and like when those two systems clash, like the shit that can happen like as a result of that. Not the most in-depth thing, but it's nice. Yeah, so we keep fucking forgetting if we're doing like numbers or letters this week. At this point it doesn't matter. Fuck it. Yeah, this is a very solid B.
I would say this is overall a very serviceable, mid-season episode, with some really good bits tacked onto it. I don't want to say tacked onto it, sort of integrate it with it, the seasonal plot. And there's some really interesting moments in there. I don't know. I think I'm starting to realize we kind of have a soft spot for the Martians. We just find them kind of conceptually interesting. So this is a cool episode. What can I say? And I like this. I think it's funny when the British people get heckin' wrecked. Yeah, I don't know. I would say this is maybe like a 7.75 out of 10. Yeah.
All right. So next week we will be discussing Series 10, Episode 10, The Eaters of Light. Getting real down to the wire. We're almost done. Yeah. Until then, you can follow the podcast on Twitter at B2TARDISPod. You can support. Well, I'm not gonna plug the Patreon at this point. It's served its purpose. I'm Geoff. You can follow me on Twitter at WheatleyDL.
I'm Aurora. You can find me on Twitter at Ahura Borealis. I'm not on there at the moment because my mental health is garbage. But you can follow requests. I'll get back to it when I can.
I'm Erchte, and you can follow us at Himajoshi Chaser on twitter.com.
And we will see you all next week.